Hello, this is your virtual life coach, Michael Lewis. This is more or less what I look like now. Let's talk about difficult people. I'll give you 6 ways of handling difficult people so they're not so difficult and, lower your blood pressure and all like that. Main thing to know is they look like you and they may even laugh at the same things you laugh at, but they're not quite like you. They're not quite like you and me. The way they see the world is a dark and threatening place to them, and everyone is a potential threat. Everyone. So you're not like that, and I'm not like that. But the smile that they have on their faces and, the warm embrace that feels like ice and so on, this is all born out of terror and fear, and they become difficult people and they make your life miserable because that's their job. Another thing that you need to know about them is you don't need to make any sense with them. You don't need to make logical sense because they don't care. They don't even notice because in a deep, deep sense, they're not even aware that you're there. They're not that aware of other people. They're just aware of things that are threats to them. So don't worry about making sense or making logical sense. They don't make logical sense, so why should you? Okay, so you're even. Now, I can give you an example of a difficult person. When I gave these talks live, this woman came in and she kept interrupting me and saying nasty things and so on. And all the time she was doing that, she had this shopping bag with her. And what she was doing with this shopping bag was she was taking huge handfuls of all of our snacks and all of our, our celery and our dips and stuff. And she was putting them into her bag to take home with her. And, there are like 50 people there, but, she was just getting all the chips and everything, just putting them in her bag. And then she got up and left about 15 minutes into it. That's a difficult person. And I think the talk that I was giving was all about difficult people. So we've run across these people and, what they're doing is always right in their mind and so on. So because of this, we come to handling number 1, which is don't discuss things with them, don't argue, or even get into a deep, meaningful conversation with them. You will come out on the bottom. If they say something, you simply acknowledge. You say, wow, I really got what you said. Isn't that interesting? Tell me more. They tell you about spaceships landing, they tell you about, there's a conspiracy among the broccoli manufacturers or something like that. They tell you about the terrible day they've had for the last 15 years. They tell you about how awful that shoe salesman was and so forth. Do not say, well, I like that shoe salesman, or that's kind of a crazy conspiracy theory or whatever. You just acknowledge, and you acknowledge, and you acknowledge, and you acknowledge, and you acknowledge, because that prevents further conversation, while at the same time gives you the appearance of being sympathetic, giving, magnanimous, and all the rest of it. So, example, I just think it's all really bad that everything's did it, and the people did it, and they never do it, and it's all did it. And they think they can take an average with, because of the whole thing. And you just say, wow, that's extraordinary. I really appreciate you letting me in on that. But the other thing is that they do, and then another one, and they went, and you should need to, because the whole thing is that, and it wouldn't be because there hadn't been and there never was in the first place. and you go, okay, I hear you loud and clear. That's amazing. Oh, look at the time. Gotta go. This way, you emerge more or less unscathed from that one. So, like I said, do not engage in any conversation with them beyond just giving them a wonderful, full-throated, sincere acknowledgement. You know, don't talk to them. They're nuts. Really, don't talk to them if you could possibly avoid it. You know, if they're relatives of yours, talk to them a bit, but not a lot. Okay, so here's number 2. And this is a handy one, especially if this is a difficult person that you are related to, you know, and can't just like snub on the street or something like that. And what that is happy times. Happy times or silly times that you have shared or that the person would remember. The difficult person starts complaining about something or another, and you just come right in there and say, you know, I was just thinking the other day about that camp we went to when we were kids. Remember that funny old guy who just sort of sat on the pier at the end of the pier and he was talking to the fishes? Remember that? Yeah, he's just talking to the fishes. You know, he'd be sitting there with his fishing pole and he was talking to the fishes and he was saying, why don't you jump into my fishing bucket? Why don't you bite my fishing pole? Remember that? That was so cute. You know, I always think of those fish. When I think of those fish, I think of you. And I guarantee you, your difficult person will get right into that. Get right into that and start talking about that. And it will change the subject. You don't need to bridge off. You don't need to segue, because remember, there's no logic. They have no logic. You know, with somebody like me or like yourself, you'd go, that's kind of odd. I was just talking about this and now he's talking about fishing in camp. They're not even going to take a second thought on it. Try it. Try it. I find it's handy if I know I'm going to go to a family reunion or something like that, or, you know, high school reunion or whatever. Just keep handy, either in your pocket or in your head, you know, maybe 5 or 6 happy times of the past, like happy, completely sort of neutral times of the past that you can just sort of pick out and use and so forth. You don't have to answer their questions. Don't have to respond. Like I said, they're not like you or me. They do not use logic in their thinking. Stay tuned for part 2, where I give you a couple of other handy ways of handling that difficult person in your life. Meantime, take your vitamins and observe posted speed limits. Don't fight. Be nice. So long for now.